Welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Lutch, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Shout out to the replay gang. Oh, there we go. How's everybody doing tonight? Let's give a big shout out to the replay gang. I told you guys I stream whenever I feel like it. Usually we are live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, but it's not that time. So if you don't hit that subscribe, you are never going to know when you are missing a party. So hit that subscribe and hit that like button. Come on, I would do it for you. And let's party. So you guys know the deal. Andrew Tate was on the BBC a while ago, and they, kind of did him dirty a little bit. And so now we have the footage from him going on the PBD podcast with Patrick Bet-David. And we know that, I haven't watched any of this at all. So we're doing a blind reaction. I wasn't even going to cover it just because we did talk about Andrew Tate recently. But come on, how are we not gonna? So before we start, I got a little something. Actually, welcome to the party, Melted Mind Media. Another awesome YouTuber just dropped his link in the chat. Please go check him out. But without further ado, let's dive right in. As always, if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know.
We watched a BBC interview with Musk, right? And he goes up and the guy opens up the question with, why'd you agree to do this interview? He says, well, I don't know, what's the name of the BBC? And he's trying to mock them and all this stuff. And there's a part of it where, he calls them out for the mistakes they made. Yeah. And if you go to the bottom of the interview on BBC, you'll see comment section saying, why'd you cut that out? Because Musk puts it on Twitter, but they didn't put it in the interview. Yeah. Then you watch the interview with you. The first question they ask you was, what's the first question? Hey.
It was like, did you RPay anybody? Like, can we have some warm-up questions first?
You've been accused of
serious crimes,
rape or something like that. Right off the bat, they asked that question of you. And then you see the interview, Lucy Williamson, I believe her first question was, you're facing some very serious allegations. Have you raped anybody? That's the open question that they ask you. And the video they put up, the first one, they take it down. The second video they put up, that's 12 minutes like the highlight one, they turn, the comment section is open. There's 80,000 plus comments there. Then you look at Philip Schofield.
Hey, we got Sean in the building. Welcome to the party. Good to see ya. Welcome. I wasn't gonna cover this Andrew Tate thing, but I figured why not? Let's just jump on and do it. Welcome to the party.
And you just brought up Philip Schofield. For people that don't know who Philip Schofield, do you mind explaining to people who he is?
Yeah, he was a TV presenter in England. He was very famous. He ran the morning show. And he was grooming children for a very long time, and all the staff knew about it. And the people who worked on the show with them were being groomed by him, and everybody knew, and it was all a big joke. And now he's come out saying, oh, please don't pick on me, I feel sad. And the media is saying, I'll leave the guy alone.
He is, when you go look up his Wikipedia, it says he rose to prominence as children's BBC continuity presenter from 85 to 87. Yep. Then went on to do programs on BBC and ITV, for Going Live, This Morning, Dancing on Ice, All-Star Mr. and Mrs., The Cube, and a bunch of other things. And they interview him, okay? While he's going through the mess, after 27 years of being married, this one guy that he groomed since 10 years old, his name is McGreevy, I want to say, something McGreevy, that he's going through the process. Matthew McGreevy, they met at 10 years old at a theater group. At 15 years old, Philip follows him on Twitter. While the kid is 15,
Melto Amini said, man needs a haircut back to bald G. I don't know. It is actually working in his favor to be, this political prisoner type guy with the straggly beard and the hair like that. It's kind of working for him. I think it looks terrible, but it is work. I mean, the man knows what he's doing. You think he didn't think about shaving before he was doing all these interviews? Come on.
Follows him on Twitter. The guy celebrates it. Long story short, Ruth Langsford, they work together with. She files a complaint. Then right after filing the complaint, McGreevy gets fired. Then he has to take a break. Then he comes out after 27 years telling his wife, I'm gay, I'm coming out of the closet. He's got 2 daughters. But there's a part of it where Matthew calls his wife and says, hey, your husband and I had an affair together. when I was 19 the first time and 20 and all, nobody knows if it was before or not.
Sean says, Philip Schofield is a pedo like the rest of the UK media. I mean, I'm stuck in the UK, and we all know they do it. Oh, man. I mean, I had no idea who this guy was, but apparently everybody knows. Apparently, we all know. That's crazy. That is crazy.
Interesting thing about him is his brother, Timothy Schofield. I don't know if you know about his brother.
Oh, what, the one who's in jail for being a pedophile?
Was convicted of 11 sexual offenses involving a child between October 2016 and 2019, including 2 sexual activity with a child. Here's how the interview started. First question, the guy asked him. He said,
how are you doing today? How are you feeling? Are you getting the rest that you need?
You've had quite a week. How are you?
Opening
question versus the question they ask you on the opening, right? And then he turns around and says, the media's interest in the affair was motivated partly because of homophobia, alleging that an affair with a much younger woman would have not generated such a scandal. So he gets protected.
Yep.
And he says, all those people who write those
Hey, we got To Be Artistry in the building. Welcome to the party. Said not prisoner, hobo chic. That's a winner. That is a winner, ladies and gentlemen. I love it. Welcome to the party, To Be.
Stuff. Do they ever think that there's actually a person on the other end, right? This is proven. By the way, this is the part where even when somebody's watching you and saying, why are they taking him to court? Maybe he did something. Why are they taking Trump to court? Maybe he did something. Why are they taking this guy? He must have done something. There must have been something there, right?
Oh, yeah. They know that even though under the law, you're innocent until proven guilty. In the court of public opinion, you're guilty until proven innocent.
It's stuff like this BBC does. If BBC are watching this right now, I want to kind of remind you of your mission statement that you have on your website. We're going to put the link below to your mission statement. You can go find it. Here's what your mission statement is, BBC. This is why you've lost some credibility the last couple of years. To act in public interest, serving all audiences through the provision of impartial, keyword impartial, high quality and distinctive output and services which inform, educate, and entertain. You say you inform, educate, you entertain, yet you conceal, misinform, and your content's quite frankly boring. You're cherry picking on people that you're talking to. So a message like that gets the.
That was super low key, but he basically just said, let me pull up your mission statement. You said you are ABC, but you are not ABC. You are BS. That was baller. Oh, that was baller. Never seen a hobo with a Bugatti Chiron.
The average person to say, everything with you is allegedly, everything he did is proven. His brother is proven. Yet, let's leave him alone. Poor guy. Let's target him. This is where their argument has leaks in it. And somebody like you can tear it up.
Absolutely. Philip is part of the club, and I'm not. And this is the thing. I'm a mentally resilient person, right? 14 months they've attacked me. I'm not going to sit and complain about that because that's not how I operate as a man. 14 months they've complained about me. If you type Romania, human trafficking, you type in any of these things, my name comes up, my face. I'm a bad person. I've lost all my bank accounts. I've lost all my social media accounts. I've been vilified all across the matrix in every single possible way. They print my face.
What's with the audio on these? I mean, this one's way better than the BBC one, but like you guys have professional stuff. What's with the echo?
Every single day with something negative next to it daily. Nobody gives a shit about my mental health, right? Because I'm the enemy. And what's scary about this is Lucy Williamson herself, she was begging me for an interview. The BBC were begging me for an interview. I don't need any of these people. The only reason I even sat down with the BBC is because they were begging me. I can go and just say my own words and get plenty of views.
Love him or hate him, you know for a fact that that is true. You know that he doesn't need them and that they absolutely need him.
Right? But the whole time I was in jail, they're begging me for an interview. Can we speak to him on the phone? Maybe you can give an interview from jail. Can we have an interview? Please, 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 please. And I was saying, why do I want to talk to the BBC? And the BBC were saying, no, we don't want to do a hit piece. We want to come across, we want to be impartial.
This is what they're telling me.
We want to be impartial. We believe there's a side of the story that hasn't been told. We're really interested in some of the, let's say,
nuances.
What's the word? I don't want to get this wrong. Inconsistencies in the Romanian justice system. We're very interested in his side of the story. There's been enough hit pieces. We want to tell the other side. We want to hear Andrew.
Stop the cap.
So straight up lies. And I mean, hey, kudos to them for, doing journalism, get the story by any means necessary. But that makes it even more confusing how she came in so hot. Because if he's under the impression that this is the type of interview that you're going to do, and you also know that he is the type of person who's going to be weary of media establishments like yourself, then why not try to ease him in? I don't get it. Like, these people are so dumb. Paid by who? Definitely not the BBC. Hell no. No, they don't pay like that.
Andrew Tate's story. And I said no, on repeat. Then they sent me a list of questions. I didn't even ask for a list of questions. That's not who I am. I don't have to script. I never asked for a list of questions. They sent me a list of questions. Here's what we're going to ask. It's about his mental health. It's about the Romanian justice system. It's about the fact he hasn't been charged. His liberty's been deprived. All this stuff. And I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. Maybe it's a bit interesting. And the Matrix is obviously printing lies about me. And these are some interesting questions from the Matrix for the first time ever. Okay. They walk in here all smiles and happy, all smiley faces trying to take me off guard. I already had my list of questions, right? It's all going to be nice and easy. I sit down and they instantly attack me. They put the cameras on first and they attack me, expecting me to stutter and make a fool of myself. It's kind of like they tried to sucker punch me. I'm in the club and they're my friends shaking my hand and they tried to hit me and knock me out. And this is the thing that's so amazing about it. Yes, I destroyed the BBC. Well, of course I did, because I'm smarter than all of them. But why should I have to rely on my wit and intellect to destroy BBC with their research team and their plan, their deliberate plan to try and annihilate not only my credibility, but my life?
So, Melted Mind Media is saying, he will only do interviews with the big media for $50K now. So I don't know. I would imagine that he's not charging Valuetainment, but he's talking about big media, like mainstream media, like BBC or something like that. Chibi says, so why remain in the interview and take it? I mean, I think there is a certain level of honor in seeing that things are going badly. Not necessarily badly for you, but things are not going the way that you want them to go. And it's turning ugly. And seeing that that's going to happen and stay there and weather the storm and show that you don't have anything to hide. This guy is on trial for some heinous things. To run away from an interview is probably exactly what the BBC wanted. So to stay there and just answer the questions and, stay calm and have the interview to the best of his ability, he's presenting that he doesn't have anything to hide. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not, I don't know what he knows. I'm just saying that's the mindset.
They're trying to put me back in jail, these people. They're not dishonest. They're genuinely evil. And they don't give a shit. Bingo. And so why should I even sit there and entertain them? I believe I could slip every single sucker punch they throw at me for the rest of human time. Woo. I could sit with any of these clowns. And no matter who they sit with their research team, whatever garbage they come up with, I'll make a fool of all of them. But why am I even entertaining them anymore? What's the point?
So now, now he's answering the question like, okay, I'm not going to do this because I think there was as much skepticism as he had going into the BBC. There's definitely he definitely didn't expect it to go like that. So now he's like, all right, I'm not going to do that unless pay me $50K.
That was the last chance I gave mainstream media. Yeah. They lied for months to get that interview with me. Completely dishonest, head to toe. And like you said, they sit with Philip. Are you okay? Are you okay? We heard your mom's upset, that poor old lady. Maybe everyone should stop talking about it because his mom's upset. Let's not talk about it anymore because his mother's old. You're either part of the club or you're not. You have to sell your sanity nowadays. If you sell your sanity, you're afforded protections. That's the reality of it. Because if you're a sane thinking person, you don't buy their bullshit. And that's what upsets them. They don't want anybody who thinks for themselves. They need you to they want you to believe exactly what's on the television screen. Believe in COVID. It's COVID now. It's COVID now. Oh, Putin's invaded Ukraine. Putin's cured COVID now. Now it's Ukraine. It's insane. Till the next thing comes. It's absolutely asinine.
And I'll tell you guys something. The reason why I was not necessarily going to cover this and why we're covering this on a day that is not the typical Monday, Wednesday, Friday show is because I feel like I feel a need to give my take on this stuff as it's developing. But I'm probably not going to have too much to jump in. And it's more about sharing the developing story with you guys. Whereas on the normal show, I typically try to bring you something where it's like, hey, here's this thing, and I want to add a lot to it. I'm not saying I can't add anything to this, but number one, I don't know what it is yet, and number two, I just I felt like we've talked about it so much, and we started talking about Andrew Tate before he really started blowing up, and we've just been covering it. So why not?
Did any of the questions that they sent you ahead of time?
Zero.
By the way, we didn't. There was no.
No, that's not how we operate.
Asked us ahead of time whatsoever. Did they ask you any of the questions they
Zero.
said they were going to ask you?
Zero. They start with an attack and it became a battle instantly.
Did they ask you at any point what jail was like?
Zero.
What your mental health was like?
Zero.
Nope.
How you completely missed the mark when everyone wants to know what was jail like, but they don't even ask you that question.
But this is what's so interesting about it. These people are so detached from reality because they are genuinely detached from reality. They think that finding a video I made 8 years ago, a 4-hour speech I made 8 years ago, and finding one line of it without context that can be misconstrued, they think that sitting down with me and saying that to me is an aha moment. Nobody cares.
That's exactly like when St. Michael was up here and was like, "You think morality is subjective, right?" And I was like, "Yep." I was like, I know you think you did a thing, bro, but I said that. I that wasn't a trick. You asked me a question and I said yes. Nobody cares.
Because you're taking it out of context, one. And I said you're taking things out of context. She goes, I'm not taking it out of context. I said, if you're presenting it without context, that's taking it out of context. That's what it is.
True.
You're lying by omission. I said that to her after the camera's off, and she looked at me because she didn't understand. When you omit details, when you refuse to put in all of the details, you can lie by including one detail which may happen to be true. You can tell the truth and miss all the details around the truth, and you are lying by omission. You're lying by omission.
Melty My Media says, how many times can people talk about the meeting being backstabbers before they realize they lie for their gain? I thought Tate would see right through it. And that's the thing about, that this last chance thing. And this is exactly what 2B was asking about. Why even go in there? And why even take it in the first place? And why take it as it's coming at you? Why not just leave? But I think there's an aspect of, I do think he is white-pilled. I think in general, he does feel like things can change, people can be good, and he is capable of dealing with the negative aspects of what's out there. So he's willing to kind of be vulnerable because he can handle it. I feel like there's only, in order to make a difference, you have to kind of put yourself out there in a way where people can take advantage of you. And you have to protect yourself against that, but you can never be completely safe. And I think if he's really trying to, I was thinking that after all of this jail stuff, that he'd just be like, all right, screw all of this internet stuff. I'm good. I've got money. I've got women. I've got cars. I've got all I need. I'm done with all that. But the fact that he's coming back into the limelight means that he has a goal. What that goal is, maybe he'll tell us in this. But it's clearly not money, because he's not getting money from this. He already has money. He's had his entire life taken away because of all this. So there's something more going on. And there's a larger goal that he has. And I guess that's kind of why I wanted to follow this and see, are we going to get the next stage, the new arc of the Andrew Tate story?
And you're sitting here saying, oh, you said this 8 years ago. Nobody cares, because they know me, and they know I didn't mean it in that way, and they know it's taken out of context, and they know that it's an old video on the internet, and it's not even an aha moment they think it is. But they just want to sit with you for an hour, attack you and attack you and attack you, wait for you to make one mistake. If I would have stuttered.
No, this is his house in Romania.
Or made a single mistake, that's the only 3 minutes they would have shown. That's all they want. They want that 1 hour, then they take the little bit.
Facts.
With me, they cut it down to 12 minutes, and look terrible in all of it. But if I would have made a single mistake, it would have been the only bit they shown. That's all they care about. Fake news.
Did you say, I'm only doing this if I'm able to record as well?
I said that.
I know that's what happened with Trump as well a couple of years ago.
I didn't even tell them, I just recorded it.
Okay, so they didn't know you were.
Always. And no matter what it is for, if you are ever going to be doing some type of interview with any type of establishment that would be in the realm of news, I mean, really at all, if anybody else is getting footage of you, it's always a good idea to have some type of recording, video, at least audio. But imagine how that could have been twisted and turned if he didn't have his own recording. Monty says he needs to do that ASAP when this is over, if he gets off, to move to America. I don't know what his it would probably make sense. I don't know what his what his criminal history is like, but maybe. I think he moved, he was living in the UK, I think, and then he moved from there because he wanted to, deal in places that were not as strict in terms of how the letter of the law. But I don't know.
We're recording.
They didn't know I was recording until afterwards, and then I said, that was dishonest. I'm going to release the whole video.
You told them before you released it.
I told them.
There is no contract or agreement with BBC.
No.
Nothing was signed. It was just simply an interview. Okay. Because I think that was very important when you released it, for people to see what fully was said versus, and by the way, the Philip Schofield interview that they put up, the 12-minute one that just came out, the comments are turned off.
Of course they are.
The comments are turned off. Yours are turned on. His is turned off. And who knows many reasons why they would do that. But going back to BBC. So,
obviously.
Okay, they come, they want to ask the questions of you. For some of the people that maybe aren't following the story closely, but they know who you are. We're in the car, we're driving, and a lot of people are asking questions. We ask the drivers, like, hey, are you going to Tate's place? How do you know we're going to Tate's place? And he says, well, who's Tate? Oh, Andrew Tate. Oh, tell us about Andrew Tate. Well,
who's Tate?
What kind of a guy is he? He said, I actually really like him. I said, why do you think he's going through what he's going through right now? Oh, it's always because of money. Okay, so we're at a different restaurant. So tell us, why are you going through this? Why is he going? Everybody's saying a similar thing about this, right? But for those who don't know, there's 3 different camps.
Yeah.
The camp that already sees you guilty, it doesn't matter what they read. So for example, this story here, from BBC came out just last night, 10:30. Andrew Tate choked me until I passed, that UK woman claims, right?
We already know what woman he's talking about. And I can picture her face because she's been on screen on video saying that was consensual.
This is Alice, another anonymous name, just like Sophie, right? Yeah. But there's 3 camps. There's those that say, well, look, I'm already thinking he's guilty. I don't like him anyways. But
remember, again, he moved to Romania because he liked the fact that their criminal justice system wasn't as strict as it is here. So, I mean, that cuts both ways.
Anything to get me to think he's guilty, whatever it takes. I don't have to do my own due diligence. I just have to hear anything. Then there's the camp that's a diehard fan. There's nothing you can do that they did wrong. You can, in their eyes, going to be wrong. Then you have the people in the middle that are the reasonable ones that are saying, you know what, let me look at this. What about this? What about that? The people in the middle may say the following question. They may say, and I may have asked this question from you last time as well. They may say, Andrew, okay, if this guy is so innocent, how can they get you to go to the dungeon for 92 days? How can they put you on house arrest? How can they do all this stuff?
This is the question. This is the type of question that needs to be answered. And this is going to answer around whether or not he does want to stay in Romania or if he wants to move somewhere else, because this, again, specifically why he moved over there is how the law enforcement moves.
Yeah. If you're somebody that was born in US, you lived in UK, how come somebody else isn't coming to bail you out? You got different lawyers. How is it that they can keep doing this to you if you're not guilty? What do you say to those people?
Yeah, and once again, I have to be careful what I say because of the court case, but Romania has a law, or the law in Romania is basically, if you can prove to a judge that it might have happened, they're allowed to hold you up to 6 months during the investigation stage. If I was guilty of anything, I would have been charged long ago. And we're going to talk about charges soon because I still believe they're going to attempt to charge me. But we're now approaching the end of the 6 months they can keep me under a form of arrest for without charge. Typically in Romania, when I was first arrested, the guard said, within 2 weeks, you'll have your indictment. I was like, 2 weeks? He goes, yeah, everyone gets charged quickly. Nobody waits 6 months for a charge. If they arrest you, they charge you, like every other country, right?
But that's the other side of the coin of you specifically moving somewhere where law enforcement moves different. Yeah, it should take 2 weeks. But if they wanted to take 6 months, well, it's going to take 6 months.
The fact they've waited 6 months and gone into my entire life and attempted to find something shows they don't have a case. Why I believe it happened is because they didn't have a case when they were trying to hit me with this garbage. And they thought, you know what? If we put him all over the news, if we slander his name completely, there was a hotline set up if you're a girl who's been hurt by Andrew Tate, call this number. In the UK. A hotline. So they were attempting to use the media to find what they wanted. Months go by, months go by, months go by. Case file's empty. Nothing's happening. My lawyer's saying, when are we going to close this case file? Like, yeah, we're just waiting for some papers. We're going to close it. We're going to close it. We're going to close it. Around the time I was canceled, things started appearing in the case file. They start spying on me again. Very interesting that it happened around that time. I don't know if they understood that I wasn't protected by the political class in the USA. I don't know what happened. They started to build this case, and they spied on me for all of these months, spending millions of euros, spying on me everywhere I went, trying to find evidence of euros. Eventually, they get to the end of their legal limit to spy on me, and they don't have any crime. They don't have anything. So in my current court case, we have two Americans who lied, the ones who we have the conversations between them saying they're going to get an Oscar for lying to the police. We have the CCTV of them coming and going. We have their Uber records showing they can travel the country freely. We have their phone calls with their mother where they're saying, yeah, he didn't hurt me, and my boyfriend called me. We have all of it. We have all the evidence. We have those two. And then there's nobody else who could possibly even take the stand. I don't believe, as high level as this Matrix attack is, I still don't believe a Romanian judge is going to put me in jail with the dossiers. I've seen it. It's garbage. I don't.
All right. So after all of this, he's still, like I said, there's that element of white pill. There's element of white pill in him. I don't think he is somebody who is pessimistic in general. And when it comes to his own life, you see that he really, again, love him or hate him, he is who he shows himself to be.
I don't think I'm going to end up in jail. But it's just taking years of my life, damaging my influence, having bad things to say about me, keeping me under control, keeping me locked in a house. That's all they want to do. They have no interest in the truth. There's no victims. There's no one to take the stand.
Do you know who Sophie is or Alice is or no?
Yeah, so the BBC, that's really interesting. So then the BBC says, well, we found victims.
Yeah, if you remember that, when we watched that, there's like, well, there's this one girl who goes, oh, yeah, Sophie, right? The girl who has no name or anything. He called it right out.
Because the BBC have done enough investigative journalism to understand that the case is garbage and there's no victims. So they said, well, we found victims. They found one called Sophie first. That was a few months ago. I think I was still in jail when Sophie appeared.
Is that her real name?
No, that's her fake name. So they have a girl with a fake name called Sophie. They don't show her face. They ask me, what do you think about Sophie? How can I comment on Sophie when Sophie isn't real? Firstly, you've made her up. Secondly, I don't know who you're talking about. You're saying that 9 years ago, I was emotionally controlling? That is the most subjective garbage accusation. What is?
Yeah, like even if there was like, how are you supposed to respond to that? So there's this person that was in your life that we don't really want to give details on from a decade ago. You remember? Yeah, that person. How is that a question?
What does that mean? 9 years ago, I said you shouldn't party with those guys in the club. Is that what I said? I don't know what I said. I don't know who she is, if she exists at all. And they're saying 9 years ago you were emotionally controlling. Sophie said so. Who's Sophie? We're not telling you. No. What's emotionally controlling mean? We're not telling you. What comment do you want? If this person even exists, which they don't, then I destroy the BBC, make it very clear to them that Sophie doesn't exist on repeat because she doesn't. And 2 days later, Alice appears. What's interesting about this is that DCAUT, the federal agency inside of Romania, along with help from international partners, have tried so hard, spending millions of euros with federal level tools to find a victim so they can put me in jail. And they can't find anyone. But the BBC just pulls them up whenever they want. The BBC does. Where do these people come from?
That's a great point. That's a great point. 6 months this man is in a Romanian prison. 6 months. All of Romania is looking for victims of this man. Can't find a trace of anything. But the BBC, hey, the BBC coming in clutch. Not one, but two.
And I say this every single time. If anybody believes they've been wronged, male or female, by me, go to the police. Go to the police. I encourage you to go to the police. All these people say we don't want to go to the police.
He did say that in the last interview. We watched it.
We just want to stay on the news. What, is that because you're not real? Is that why? That's pretty convenient. I mean, I thought I was a bad person. Why don't you go to the cops? Oh, because you have no evidence and it doesn't exist? That's why.
Are all these accusers in the UK, not even in Romania?
Not even in Romania. So Sophie and Alice are supposedly both from the UK. And Alice's story is...
To correct, it's not Alice. I said Alice, it's Evie. Evie or Evie or something like that. E-V-I-E.
So wait, Evie is it's like a feminist website. Isn't it? I'm pretty sure. Evie magazine, yeah. This is really like Uh-oh. Bosch is in trouble. Oh, Bosch.
Made up names.
It's all made up names.
Yes.
So Evie,
we could call whatever name we want. But
yeah, Evie is saying 13 years ago I choked her or something.
Yeah. By the way, when is the 6-month time limit?
End of this month.
Okay. And can we reference the tweet you just
End
posted
of this
a couple
month.
days
So yeah, if you missed that, the end of the 6 months is the end of June, the end of this month.
ago?
I want to stay on the She was commenting on Evie. You were going to say something about Evie. What she said. So she's claiming 10 years ago or 13 years ago, you guys had the consensual sex the first time. She comes back for the second time around. According to the story,
another one.
She says she was being, your hand was on her throat, strangled me. She was passed out for a minute. And then she came back and she said, I did not approve of the second time having sex after she was passed out. So these stories they're making, and then she's.
Wait, what? So why did you go back and have sex with him again if he choked you out and you didn't approve of that?
What?
Something's not making sense.
Says the guy asked a question saying, how come you didn't do any police report back then? Says, well, because it's not fully rape and it's not that, because it was consensual. I kind of wanted to be there and I didn't tell anybody about it 6 years later. There's way too many things that doesn't give it credibility for somebody to say, I didn't do anything about it then, but 6 years later, I told my friends, 3 or 6 years later.
Yeah.
And look, I don't want to add fire to the flame that, it can't be that, a woman has some, terrible encounter, something happens to her and she doesn't want to talk about it. And then years later, she, gets the courage to do so or whatever. I'm not saying that can't happen. I'm not saying that didn't happen in this case. All I'm saying is that you cannot expect me to believe that. I have to go on the evidence that we have. And so it sucks. It sucks that if you are victimized, that you have to further victimize yourself by going through that process. But if you want justice, it has to be. There is no other way for it to be. And I'm not even going to, we don't know this at all. We don't know this at all. We have no idea. This person could be completely made up. This person could be someone who's looking for money, or this could be someone who was legitimately victimized. But because all three of those are equally reasonable at this point, there's not much I can do with it.
And this is the thing that's scary. If you say to any red-blooded male, 13 years ago, you had sex with a woman consensually and she's now unhappy about how that sex happened. You can get, any man on earth can get screwed with that. If this person exists at all. And like you said, she refused to go to the police if she exists.
Yeah, that's another good point, is that it sets a precedent that, like, okay, I see that it could, probably be this, that, or the other. It could be that this happened. But if we even give an inch to the idea that a man can be prosecuted for this type of crime, but any type of crime, without the proper evidence, what's to stop you from being next?
And she's saying it was consensual. I think last night they aired it on Newsnight, and they said, why are you coming forward now? And I think this actor, the person literally said, because now he's rich and famous. They literally said those words. That's what they said. Oh, because now he's rich and famous, I think it's unfair.
All right then.
It's asinine. I don't understand genuinely how a man can protect himself in the Western world anymore. How can you even exist anymore?
You can't, bro. You can't.
This is what they're going to hit you with as soon as you get to a certain level of influence. There's no man on earth who's safe from this. I said this to my judges.
Hey, we got Johnny Tsunami in the building. Welcome to the party, brother. Good to see ya. Said my grandma has a pee-pee. Good for her.
I had a few male judges. I said, they could do this to you.
Hey, unwanted foe. Welcome to the party with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Feed Morty. And we will feed Morty. That's right. Every single super chat comes with a treat for Morty. Thank you again, unwanted foe. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. Welcome.
They could do this to anyone. They can do it to you or me or any man watching this. Any man watching this. They can put in the BBC 9 years ago you did something. They won't tell you her name. They won't give you any.
Oh, we got a supersize. We got a supersize. All right, let's get the peanut butter banana treats. Just supersize them. There you go. Oh, thank you. Melted Mind Media and I was gonna wait and see. And Melty came through for me. So I have a special thing that I want to do that's going to be commemorated on stream forever. This is my old stream deck that is going to be mailed out to Melted Mind Media today because I got my new big stream deck. And he asked me for a favor, and it warmed my heart. The first Indian Jesus autograph ever goes to Melted Mind Media. Boom. That is going in an envelope and sent out to you right after the stream. Thank you. And oh my goodness. Welcome the Camcast to being a true disciple of the channel. Morty, eat it up. We got one for the Camcast. Thank you so much, guys. Oh, I really do appreciate that. That is exactly right. You are a disciple now. Channel memberships are available. Thank you so much, Cam, and welcome to the party. Shout out to all three of you. But of course, Unwanted Foe as our stream sponsor. But you know what? Since Cam signed up, we'll put you both in there. Let's get you both in there.
Chance to defend yourself because you have no idea what they're fucking talking about, and they will print it on repeat until you lose your job and lose your bank and lose your social media, and then you're going to sit there bankrupt and depressed, and then they're just going to move on from you. And if you don't die, if you're like me, a cockroach who refuses to die, if you sit around and refuse to go away, they're going to make up a new one. It's crazy, and it's genuinely scary, and you're not safe from it anywhere anymore. I will say right now on this podcast, I encourage absolutely anybody who believes I've harmed them, male or female, to go to the police with evidence, and we'll go to court. Let's do it. I don't harm people. If I was harming people, I wouldn't be out here as open as I was.
Shout out
the biggest
again,
criminals,
guys.
the biggest gangsters, the most
Much
heinous
appreciated.
people on earth don't have social media.
Hey, we got Nick in the building. Welcome, Nick. How's it going? Welcome to the party. Good to see you, brother.
You know that.
Let's turn this back a little bit.
And you're not safe from it anywhere anymore. I will say right now on this podcast, I encourage absolutely anybody who believes I've harmed them, male or female, to go to the police with evidence, and we'll go to court. Let's do it. I don't harm people. If I was harming people, I wouldn't be out here as open as I was. The biggest criminals and the biggest gangsters and the most heinous people on earth don't have social media. You know this. If I see a guy with an Instagram pretending he's a gangster, he's not a gangster. The real gangster hasn't got Instagram.
True.
But that's the reality of it. You think I'm going to become the most Googled man in the world if I've been running around hurting people? It's absolutely insane. And I think there has been a shift in the consciousness. I think, especially because of COVID and a few other things, people are starting to understand that all these people do is lie.
Bro, what was the last stream about? Not the last stream, but last week. What were we talking about? Last Friday, what we were talking about was that people are starting to understand. This is exactly what I'm telling you guys. A couple days later, we see this, and I mean, this came out when? On yesterday, so a couple days. People are waking up. Amante Poe said, court of social media is a horrid thing. It feeds confirmation bias and ignores evidence. Well said. Very, very true.
I think people are starting to understand that. And the harder they try and hurt me with these lies, the less people believe it, which is scary for me. Like I said earlier, it's scary. They keep coming up with more garbage. The bullets keep bouncing off. So now they're sitting around going, we can't convince the world this person is a bad person. How do we get rid of him?
You
That's the scary
can't.
part.
Minect is an application which allows you to take a minute to connect with influencers from all around the world.
Oh, okay.
My name is Andrew Tate, and I'm available to
right.
speak directly to you on Minect.
All of a sudden,
So we have a decent number of clips here. Let's make sure we like the video. when we're watching a video, we always hit the like button, right, guys? And dive right into the next clip. Let's see.
You put in your profile. Obviously, I joked about it. You're the most Googled woman on earth. You know, that was based on your
Oh, what do we got here? Come on, baby.
Twitter profile. You know, Nina Turner comes out and says, if somebody says they're a woman, not a tough concept. Your response is, I'm a woman, right? You do that. And you've left it on Twitter.
Yeah.
Tell us why.
Because I am. You don't believe me?
You're a woman?
Are you misgendering me?
I have to choose to agree with you, right?
My pronouns are she, her. No, but the level of, it's all a joke, right? But there's actually a very sinister undertone to all of this garbage. And the sinister undertone is that your baseline instincts and your baseline senses are how you've always perceived the world, right? They have to attack them at some level. And they did. I mean, it's fantastic with COVID. COVID, I know we can talk about it now. It was amazing. I used to say to people all the time, who have you seen die? Do you see a pandemic? Yeah, on the news. No.
I've been saying, and I've continued to ask people, and of course there's exceptions, but aside from those exceptions, every single person I know who got the jab has gotten COVID at least once, usually twice, and every single person I know who didn't get the jab didn't get COVID. Again, a couple exceptions, but other than that, one for one.
Do you see ambulances rushing back and forth everywhere? Do you see bodies on the street? Do you see lines outside of hospitals? Do you see a pandemic? How a pandemic would look?
Of course I do. That's how they're going through the world.
Do you see a pandemic? Oh, but my friend's grandma, your friend's grandma was 96. Okay? So I'm not saying it's not sad. I'm saying she's 96. Do you see a pandemic? No, you don't. But they have just lied to you so many times that you're ignoring your own eyes.
Thank you, Nick.
That's the final stage of the slave mind. It's the final stage of it. The final stage of the slave mind is when your eyes tell you this is green, but the news told you it was blue.
When your eyes tell you this is a man, but the news tells you it's a woman. When your eyes tell you everything can be explained by mechanics of physics, but they tell you, no, it was put here magically by a man in the sky. Dogmatic thinking.
So it has to be blue. So when they're doing these things, it's nothing to do with caring about the mental health, of gender ideology, none of this garbage. They're deliberately attacking you and saying, what your eyes tell you is wrong. Because if they can make you start to admit that your own eyes are wrong, then what other defense do you have against propaganda?
Exactly. If they can make you think you can't trust your own eyes, then what else can you trust but what they tell you? And there are way too many people who are too far down that road. But as I was saying on Friday, and as Andrew Tate himself just said, people are starting to wake up. People are starting to push back against this. And like people like us have been doing that. But we're talking about normal people who are not in the weeds of all this. They are starting to finally realize, hey, wait a minute. The sky is actually blue. The news is telling me it's green. And I just went along with it because I figured there was something wrong with my eyes. But it's blue, isn't it?
If they're going to give you a lie, but your own eyes can't protect you, well, then it's over, isn't it? So all of these things they're doing, all of these things are a deliberate assault on the senses. And they do it by controlling the language. If you control what someone says, over time, you'll control what they think. You don't think what you don't say.
If you can control what someone thinks, or you can control what somebody says, you will control what they think. Think about that.
Over time, you'll control what they think.
Come on.
If you control what someone says,
there we go.
Over time, you'll control what they think. You don't think what you don't say.
You don't think what you don't say. This guy, I mean, how can you not like this guy? How can you not like this guy? He's very good at packaging all of this stuff. And how often do we talk about the issue with packaging our messaging? This guy, he does it well. What do you want from me?
It's very hard to live a life for 8 years if you're lucky, and think things and never say them ever. If you think it, you're going to say it sometimes. You're going to give the idea, get some feedback on the idea, build on the idea, change the idea, whatever it is, through discussion. If you never, ever, ever discuss it, you're not going to think it. So they say, this is the truth, ignore your eyes, and you have to say it's the truth. You can't say it's not the truth. And the people who are in charge of the world, they think generationally. They have time. Right now, it's a joke.
They think generationally. They have time. That's wisdom, guys. That's wisdom. I've gotten used to us just watching people just say stuff and not really have any wisdom behind it. And that is wise. That is wise. And yes, Nick, we actually covered that interview whenever it was last week or the day after, but definitely go check that out.
200 years from now, it won't be a joke. 200 years from now, it'll all be fucking standard operating protocol. The grandchildren, the people who are in charge now, that's what they want. They'll pull it off in the end. Slow, incremental damage.
Yep.
They do it with nearly everything. They'll take all your rights away. They'll take 100 of your rights away. They'll upset you. They'll give you 99 back. We're good again. Don't worry.
What were we just talking about where I think it was something with gun violence, where somebody was saying that murders have doubled or something like that. Or no. We were talking about TJ Maxx for some reason, and about the shoplifting, and somebody was saying that I was simping for big corporations. I'm like, no, you don't understand the larger picture. And they were saying that, like, oh, well, their sales just doubled in the last year. It's like, yeah, that's because they were closed all through COVID. Semantic obfuscation. It doubled. Well, what exactly does that mean in the grand reality of what we're doing here? Does that actually mean anything?
And the grandchildren of the people in charge of the world get what they want in the end. They think generationally. So now we're at the beginning of it. It's all a big joke, right? But especially before Elon had Twitter, when you couldn't say the truth online, when you couldn't say my eyes see X on the internet without.
Yeah, before he goes into that, I'm on Phil. That's actually a really a good point that I want to bring attention to. That people will just throw out, oh, that's a slippery slope, as if every slippery slope is a slippery slope fallacy. It would be a fallacy to say, if I don't lock my door, then somebody's going to come in and I'm going to get killed. And, obviously we could make it as long and as crazy as we want. But the idea of a slippery slope fallacy is that it's something that can't or is very unlikely to happen. What I want to focus is saying is that this slippery slope is very real and is in no way a fallacy. I don't remember that one. I must have been, maybe I was drinking a bit. I don't remember. Join the Discord. If you are having fun here, you will definitely find a home at the Indian Jesus Discord where the party never ends. That's right. 24/7. We're hanging out in there. We're chatting in there right now. And after every live stream, we go in there for a panel discussion where you're not stuck behind your keyboard, but you are on screen with me and Morty and everybody else. So come and join. It is free. There's a link in the description. See you there.
Go into jail or losing your account or getting a hate speech charge in the UK or some garbage. They're controlling what you think. And on a long enough time frame, what you think becomes true. If we all believe 2 + 2 is 4. But with a hard enough psyop, if you can't say that, if you have to say it's 5, on a long enough time frame, math breaks down and everyone's just going to believe that 2 + 2 = 5.
And maybe you guys remember stories of this, but when I was in high school, the big thing was eating disorders. All the girls would have eating disorders, and so there was a lot of talk about self-talk, and the idea that if you tell yourself that you're ugly every day, or you tell yourself that you're fat every day, you're gonna start believing it. Same is true with anything else. If you say that women can become men and men can become women every day, then you're going to start to believe that. If you start thinking everything that goes wrong in my life, there must be a reason for it, so I don't need to address it. It's all part of God's plan. We know a lot of people believe that.
That's what
You
happens.
think we're going to get there?
Have you ever seen the experiment? There's a really interesting experiment with monkeys and a banana and a water spout. Have you ever seen this? They put 5 monkeys in a room, and at the top of the room there was a banana. And when one monkey...
Oh, Tim talks about this all the time. And this is another amazing iteration of the groupthink that I talk about. Like just yesterday, I was talking about, maybe it was yesterday, maybe it was Friday, but the experiment where you'll go into a doctor's office and everybody will be actors except one participant. And they'll go in and they'll ring the bell and everybody stands up and sits down and goes right back to their paperwork. And nobody, the participant's like, what the hell is going on? But nobody says anything. So they just keep going and ring the bell. Everybody stands up. And so now the participant is like feeling out of place. So the next time the bell rings, they're like, okay, I'll stand up too. And then you can even swap out the actors for more participants. And soon enough, you have an entire room of people who are standing because they hear that and they have no idea why. This is exactly the same type of thing.
And a banana and a water spout. Have you ever seen this? They put 5 monkeys in a room, and at the top of the room there was a banana. And when one monkey tried to climb up to get the banana, they turn on the hose and splash all the monkeys with ice cold water. So the monkey would come back down and wouldn't get the banana. And when another monkey would go to climb up, they'd splash all the monkeys with ice cold water. And what would happen over time is, when a monkey went to climb the rope to get the banana, the other monkeys would jump and pull him down and hit it and teach him a lesson. Don't go for that banana. If you go for that banana, we get splashed with water. Mm-hmm. Then they'd swap one of the monkeys out. Now there's a new monkey in the room who doesn't know the game. The new monkey would attempt to climb, and all 4 monkeys would attack the monkey, pull him back down and kick his ass. He knows if he climbs the rope to get the banana, he gets attacked. He doesn't know he gets splashed with water.
He's never seen the water. The new monkey has never seen the water.
If he gets the banana, he doesn't know the game, but he knows if I try and climb, they're going to attack me.
Bingo!
After a certain amount of weeks, they change another monkey, and another monkey, another monkey. Over time, you have 5 brand new monkeys who have never been splashed with water ever. But nobody goes to climb the rope, because if they do, they're attacked by all the other monkeys. And nobody even knows why.
Exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. This is how people, you have to understand. You have to understand. George Carlin had an amazing bit. And I mean, it was just a line. It was part of the bit. I don't even remember what the bit was. But he said, think how dumb the average person is. Think how stupid the average person is. Then realize that half of the world is even dumber than that. So we're building a nice little community here. And we may take things for granted because we're a little bit smarter. Or at least we care a little bit more. Enough to read or listen and find out. But most people don't. They're just going through life on instinct from one stimulation to, one stimulus to the next. And if we, the ones who are smarter, don't create an apparatus where we can come together and make the societal rules, then the people who are just, a zombie walking through life are going to be the ones who make the rules. I think it's crazy what people do, often unconsciously, just to fit into the group.
Bingo!
Yep.
That's just how it works. If you climb that rope, we beat you up. That's just how it works. That's what they're doing on a long enough time scale to humanity. Mm-hmm. There are already X amount of people on the planet. There's already a population, X%, who knows what it is, who ignore their own eyes and repeat what they are told. You can't say that that's not what they're doing because they're already successful with X amount of the population.
Someone go in the VC and tell Mike to come through.
Begun. The seed is there. 2%, 3%, 7%, who knows? They've already proven they can do it. Now it's just a matter of not shutting up and hammering at home. Make sure they repeat it in schools. Children are young. They believe things are impressionable. Hammer it to the kids, especially. Put it in every Disney movie. Give it to the kids all day long. They grow up sooner or later. Long enough time frame. That's it. It's generational attacks.
But do you think that's going to work, though? Because
it already is. It already is working. It already is working. We have fallen down the slippery slope. There are tuck-friendly bathing suits in the front of Target. Bud Light tried to sell their beer with a children's star who got famous for singing about her bulge. It's already happened. It already worked. The question now is, how do we fix it? Nick says, he may rub some people the wrong way, but he's got wisdom. Definitely not a dumb man. For sure.
Unpack the question. So I'm from Glendale. I went to Glendale High School and Staloy, right? So yesterday, a big fight broke out in Glendale. Massive, it's all over the news. Yep. So the fight was over these parents, Armenian parents, who were for 4 years are like, listen, we don't mind if you're gay, but don't teach our 4-year-olds about transgender. Yep. Don't put these books in. Yep. Finally, yesterday, big old brawl. Yep. It's all over the news. They're fighting. Armenian parents are like, we're not going to tolerate this. This is just not going to happen to us, right? Then you go.
And who was it? Who was it in the chat that was like, Armenians are not a group you want to mess with?
To YouTube.
Nice.
YouTube comes back and says, hey, starting such and such, all the videos that were put up about, the election and, whether it was a fake election or not, we're no longer going to give a strike or take those videos down. Yeah. They can stay up there, right? This is totally fine. Then you see the Surgeon General comes out, the attorney, I don't know if you saw this one here, he comes out with an article saying new Surgeon General advisory raises alarm.
Let me guess. It has to be about the puberty blockers or the hormone therapy or something like that. Raises alarm bells. Hey, we got Jimmy the Drunk in the building. Welcome to the party. Jimmy the Drunk says, I never expected that one day I'd be saying that a girl's cock is bigger than mine. Oh, man. I mean, it is what it is. We are in an upside down world. Welcome to the party, Jimmy the Drunk. Welcome.
About the devastating impact of the epidemic of loneliness and isolation in the United States. This is the same.
Okay. Well, I was wrong on that one, but I definitely think that they, would be on my side.
Yeah, that was part of the camp is now saying, hey, our epidemic of loneliness and isolation has been an underappreciated public health crisis that has harmed individuals and social health, our relationship, our source of healing, et cetera. This is the same guy that said, wait a minute, lockdown, do this, do that. Yeah. So the more and more arguments are coming out against even ESG. I don't know how close you follow ESG, where
that's right up his alley. I'd actually be very interested because the talks about ESG really ramped up while he was in jail. So I'm sure he knows about the concept of having a social credit score. But I'm curious how much he actually, how well read he actually is on that.
Did you see how much Target lost? $10 billion? Did you see how much Bud Light lost? 25%, 12%. This is no longer working. Well, if you want to, even one of the insurance companies I work with closely, it's one of our biggest one we work with. Yesterday, I see their post on Instagram. Well, because of Pride Month, we're doing this. I know the people in that company, but they just raised a few $100 million. One of the companies they gave the money to was one of these bigger guys, the Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street.
Always. So it's always them. It's always Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. Always. Everything in the world. If there's something awry, you can put money down without even thinking about it, researching anything. You can put money down. Vanguard, BlackRock, or State Street is somehow behind it. Somehow making your life just a little bit worse.
So when you take money from those guys, you have to have a certain ESG score. Yep. But a lot of people are now saying this is not a proven formula that it works. Stop doing it. So do you think guys like you, who are maybe in business, who are maybe in church, they're saying, Pope, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Who are maybe in the Christian church, who are maybe in different denominations. Yeah. They're in the military, sitting back saying, I didn't sign up for this. Yeah. So meaning successfully, do you think these guys will be able to manipulate their agendas down everybody's throat, or there's going to be certain people standing up?
Well, certainly I'd like to believe that the tide is shifting and we're starting to get some degree of victory against the matrix as a whole.
Told ya! Again, this was the entire point of Friday's show. Some degree of victory against the matrix. I'm telling you guys, we are winning. Just keep going. Just keep going. Melton My Media said, "How do I invest in BlackRock? I want in to thrive on this downfall. I mean, they're a publicly traded company. Just go buy their stock." Nick says, "From what I've seen, essentially China already does have a social credit score. I don't want to be like China. No, nobody wants to be like China. China bad."
I do believe that the public sentiment is shifting. However, the fight is long and it's very, very difficult because I agree with what you're saying. Only a year ago, I would argue it completely and say it's basically over. I'm actually very impressed with the ground we've taken back.
This is what I'm telling you. That there is a shifting of the tides. Finally, a shifting of the tides. But that's only the beginning. We actually have to keep that going. Hey, we got Mike in the building. What is good? Welcome to the party, Mike. Indeed, nobody wants to be like China. Welcome, brother. Welcome.
Common sense. But these people operate so slowly. It's generational, these attacks. The attacks we're suffering now were started in the 70s and 80s. Yep. They take it over time. And yes, it's fantastic that those parents fought back against that school.
But here's the thing. In the 70s, we didn't know that there was anything to fight back against. So they had, a good 30, 40 year head start, whoever you want to say they is. But the fact of the matter is, now that we understand, now the playing field has been leveled. And there's a lot more of us than there are of them. Oh no, Melty's already there. Oh God, we lost him. Sound the alarms. We lost Melty.
That's fantastic. But there's a whole bunch of schools where they didn't. And who knows, okay, that particular book might be removed. A softer version will be implemented. Next year, maybe that book will come back. They have all the time in the world, all the money in the world.
And think about what he just said and weigh that against, again, George Carlin bit about softening words and my whole thing about semantic obfuscation, that they will, sanitize everything that is important and bring it back in, and give you 2% of it before exactly what he was saying. You have $100, they'll take 100 and they'll give you back $1 and be like, there's your dollar.
And they're insulated from these things. That's what's most scary. You talk about Vanguard and BlackRock and all these companies. What's actually scary about it is the people who are making these decisions are completely insulated from the consequences of their decisions. They're in Switzerland. They fly private. They don't care.
Right.
Do you think they care about any of this crap? They'll say, oh, do this. Oh, it's caused a riot. They don't live there. They're nowhere near it. They have nothing to do with it. When's the last time you've even seen a politician? Do these people even exist? They're nothing to do with where they operate. It's actually amazing. When I was in Dubai once, I think it was about 3 years ago, I saw the leader of Dubai walking through the mall. I was like, he's a person and he just walks through the mall. I was so impressed. Imagine a Western leader walking through the mall. Never in a million years. It's just pieces of paper, private jet, vanish. All these people who are in charge of everything don't even live in these communities.
Nope.
I do believe that, yes, we can win, because I don't think you can fight to the best of your ability if all hope is lost. I do believe we're winning and taking ground back, absolutely. And I believe that we're doing that by purely telling the truth. What our eyes see is what's real. And we're doing it in the name of God, because you're saying Armenians are strictly religious. I think God and religion is one of the best ways you can combat these things.
One of the best ways. But there is a better way. And it's taking all the good stuff about religion and just doing it in a secular manner. But we'll leave that aside for now.
However, the fight is never ending, because they're never ending going to try and implement. You talk about ESG scores. It's garbage they put together. That's not going to end. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse over time. And it's kind of unfortunate and it's kind of upsetting that we still have this system where the people can be unhappy with something. The peasants can revolt to a degree. But does it even really matter at some point? You get to a point of power where you don't care about money.
Ooh, and then you get to a point about power where you don't care about money. Again, wisdom. Just drop in wisdom bomb. Doing my job for me, right? Melton My Media said Joe Biden couldn't make it 4 steps before he would fall in a mall, and too many kids would distract him.
Hurrah!
Dirty old man. That dirty old man.
Really difficult, right? When you control everything, you don't care about money. I mean, I'd like to actually argue. We talk about Bud Light, this Mulaney, whatever is it?
Dylan Mulvaney.
Whatever. Yeah, Dylan Mulvaney.
Sweetheart, yeah.
And yeah, I know we've damaged their share price, et cetera, et cetera. I would believe people who own that company or beyond that company, I don't think they truly give a fuck.
In both.
I don't think they care. Maybe they care a bit.
They care as far as because the reason that the whole Bud Light thing wasn't about taking down Anheuser-Busch is exactly what he's talking about. They don't care. They don't care, and not enough people care. But the point of that, again, wasn't to take down the entire corporation. It was to send a message that people like us are starting to come together, are starting to speak our voices, to speak our minds. And you can do that kind of stuff. You can go woke. You can play to the wokesters like you have been all of this time, but it's not going to be as easy. You're going to have to be accountable for it.
I don't think they're losing that much sleep over it. Maybe they are a little bit, but I'm saying you get to degrees of power and levels of power where you don't care about money. I'll give you a perfect example of it. I know we keep going back to this, but it was actually a massive pivotal event in awakening so many people was the COVID scam. Mm-hmm. I said this multiple times in many different countries I visited. I said, if they cared about you, they would have left everything open, maybe put a tax on everything, extra tax percent, whatever, and built hospitals. Why didn't they do that? Why did they lock you all up? Because it's a massive.
They knew we didn't need it.
They want you to comply. They don't give a shit about your health. They just want you to comply. They want to test how many people comply. Mm-hmm. And people were saying, yeah, it's all about money. It's all about profit. And I said, that's actually a very optimistic way to look at it. I think that if you destroy the economy and lock everyone in their houses and destroy everyone's businesses, you don't care about money. You're beyond money. You're above money. You want power and you want control. Because once you become actually rich,
I mean, he's right.
You learn that the world is all just about people, right? The best things in your life are people. The best things in your life are family. Things that make you happiest are your friends. Your life experience is the best if you have good team around you, good assistants, good helpers, good staff, whatever it is. It's all about people and controlling people. What do you want money for? To get other people to do what you want. That's all money is. I want a Lamborghini. I can't build one. He can. I will pay him to build me a Lamborghini. It's all about people. So once you get beyond a certain level of money, and there's a certain level of control you want that money perhaps can't buy, then you think, well, I don't care about the money. I want the power. I want money. I want them to stay in their houses. Why? Because it sounds like I don't have to. They have to. Ha ha ha.
You said, I mean, guys, I wasn't going to cover this, but how do you not cover this? How do you not cover this?
It's funny. And I've said that and sat with people and said, do you really think people in charge of the world are so petty that they would lock everyone in their houses so they can laugh? I say, yeah, I actually do. I think if you were born Absolutely. They have nothing else to do.
That's the trope. I mean, even before Epstein Island was like, a thing people were talking about. The idea of rich people having nothing, getting bored because they've done everything and paying to get pissed on and stuff like that. That's always been the trope. Of course. When you run the world, why not just fuck with people a little bit? Why not? Got nothing better to do. You have everything you could possibly want at your fingertips. You have all the money in the world. You've already done all the cool stuff. You've done all the fun stuff. Let's just fuck with a few million people's lives, right?
Into a wealthy family where money has precisely zero value, and you are arrogant to the moon because you're this whoever, and you believe you're God's gift, and you don't. A Ferrari ain't gonna make you happy. You care about Ferrari. Ferrari's free. It's pennies. You don't care about any of this shit. What makes you happy is everyone respecting you and being afraid of you. To a degree, you're going to try and influence some power and fear. I think that's what it is. So I think a lot of these companies, when they're doing these things and they're upsetting people, etc., yeah, it's good that we're fighting back. But I also think part of them enjoy the show. I think part of them genuinely enjoy the show. I think part of them go, you know what? Let's do this. This is insane. Let's do this. Oh, they're fighting. I really believe it. I know it's a pessimistic way to look at it, but I think they enjoy the show apart.
I don't disagree.
I was going to say I don't disagree with him. And I don't. I think that he's right, but that is not a reason not to engage with the culture war. The fact that it is something that might be, just as silly and superficial as he's putting it, that none of this stuff actually matters. It's all just, a big psyop. Even if that is the case, it's still not worth it to just give up the ground in the culture war, because the people on the other side of the culture war, not the people on the side, but those people are dead serious. Those people want to change how your life works. So whether or not the people on top really care about you and your, anything about you, other people care about themselves in a way that will drastically affect you. Nick said he's right on, because one of the few things you can't buy is true friendship. Facts.
Disagree with you in regards to that. I can see that how, you see it in movies or scenes where, condescending, arrogant, and they kind of they enjoy bullying the guy that can't help himself, right? Hey, do this. Hey, clean up, pick this up. Look at this. He'll do anything that I need him to do, right?
Yeah, the guy who kneels down and he's the footrest and that's his whole job. Like, we've seen it. We know it.
Fully believe that those types of things exist. But, man, empires have fallen so many times.
It's true.
Because
hold on. There's something in my hair. And okay. All right. That was bothering me. Okay. All right. Beautiful Lutch back in the building. Sorry, guys.
They thought they can get away with murder.
It's true.
And then eventually people said, listen, stop. You're not going to do this to me anymore. We're not going to take a stand. And typically when that happens, you said it earlier, what is really what's going on in Glendale or some of these other cities that people are protesting? Why is there?
Glendale was the city that we covered on Friday that the brawl broke out over this transgender stuff.
An organization called Gays Against Groomers.
Yeah.
Shout out to Gays Against Groomers. That was the whole middle segment of the show. I'm telling you guys. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm telling you guys. This is working. Whatever we're doing is working. So let's just keep doing it. Because it's only now going to get difficult. You thought it was difficult? That was the easy part. Now that we started winning, keeping that up, that's going to be the difficult part. Shout out to Gays Against Groomers.
Gays Against Groomers?
What? And really quick, I just, because I can, I want to point out that, St. Michael of Cigarillo would think that Gays Against Groomers would be a bad organization because they're all the same. Whereas they have the most power to speak on this because it's so easy for the activists to say, well, you're not LGBTQ plus IA, whatever, so you can't speak on this. Well, they are. They are. And when they are echoing the same things that we are, you realize it's not about whether you're trans or you're not trans. It's about sheer basic morality. That's what we're talking about.
What do you do? He says, man, I just wanted to be gay and leave me alone. I'm not trying to be, grooming kids. That's not my job. I just want to be gay. Leave me alone. We've made so much progress. These guys, I'm not that guy. I'm not this person, right? So I think the part that they fear the most, if you read Communist Manifesto, there's a book written by Cleon Skousen. I think he was like a former CIA agent for like 15 years. He wrote a book called The Naked Communist. One of the things he talks about how getting rid of God, well, they're succeeding in that area, but not fully yet. Getting rid of the family nucleus. Well, we already know what is the purpose of this LGBTQ movement? What is the purpose of this transgender? What is the purpose of, let me get this straight. This person cannot buy a gun at 13. This person cannot go in the military at 13. This person cannot vote at 18. This person cannot own a car at 13, but they can transition the most important decision of their lives. You're okay with? Yes. So, now that doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't at all. And Nick is exactly right here. Joining the fight is easy. Winning the war is hard, but the stakes are too high to lose. Well said, Nick. Joining the fight is easy. Joining the fight is just tweeting, whatever. You're saying, oh, I don't know. That's all you got to do. Winning the war means tweeting the right things, talking to the right people, saying the things that might not be comfortable for either for you to say or for other people to hear, but that need to be said. That's the hard part, and it starts now.
Doesn't make sense to me. I think you said something at the beginning, the concept of being tolerant. You know what? Yeah, it's okay. We can have gays. Oh, it's okay. We can have this. Listen, man.
It's okay. We can have gays.
You've crossed the line a little bit. I think faith, family, kids, values, principles, they fear the hell out of it.
Absolutely.
And I think that community is rising up.
No, you're totally right. But you made a really interesting point there about empires falling. And this is where I kind of feel like we're entering a new stage of the world because it's never really done before. Because typically when empires fell, the world was far more polarized. If the empire fell, there was nowhere for the corrupt dictators of said empire to go. The empire's fallen. Or say England fell. You can't. It's very hard to get exile in France. You could do it a little bit. But let's say America fell today.
What does
let's
that
say
mean?
It completely collapsed and it fell. The people who archetyped that downfall, do you think they'd beat America? Do you think they'd be sitting there waiting to get scooped up? Do you even know who they are? Can you recognize them? What's their name? Even if you could, do you think they're in America or do you think they're skiing in Switzerland? This globalism, the whole point of globalism is that they don't care when empires fall. When you globalize the world, then you have a chessboard. I lost the knight. Doesn't matter. Sack the queen. Who cares?
So what he's saying is that this idea of even, like nationalism is a big thing right now because it nationalism versus globalism. But he's saying the people who are purporting to be on the side of nationalism, or at least the individual, which lends itself to nationalism, they're not living the same type of life that you are. And he's using skiing in Switzerland as an example, but they live in a global world, even if they are standing for things that are, supposedly against globalism. Mind blown.
There's so many things I want to say, but I don't want to die. But there's truth. This can be proven and shown even with this current proxy war. Europe and all the gas prices and the inflation rate in Europe has gone to the moon to fund this proxy war in Ukraine. Why has this happened? Because America's in charge of everything. And America has decided that Europe has to bear the brunt of the bullshit for its proxy war. You're going to have higher gas prices. You're going to have inflation. You're going to have mass civil unrest. You're going to deal with it all. And we're going to sit over here and insulate ourselves because we have the global reserve currency. Mm-hmm. And the war is going to happen over there and everyone's going to die. And we're in charge. So now you have this globalism. How can an empire fall when you have basically two camps? There's two teams now. There's two sides left. So I agree with you completely about empires falling, but I'm saying if the empires fell in days of old, the kings would be strung up. Mm-hmm. But now when the empire falls, nobody notices. It doesn't matter. We don't know who the kings are. We don't know who's in charge. We don't know where they are. They're not going to be anywhere near the trouble. That's for fucking sure. They're just going to be somewhere else. Oops. Oh, well. And do they really care?
Of course not. But and something that's just occurring to me is that what a miss. I mean, shout out to the great Dr. Peter Boghossian, who came into the stream. We were checking out some of his videos yesterday, and he came into the stream. And I didn't think to drop the link. It just didn't occur to me. Man has, over 1 million subs? Work all around the world? He was right here. He was in the chat. He could have been up here. And I just forgot. But the fact is, as long as I am, focusing on what brought him here in the first place, then I'm going in the right direction. But there's just missed opportunities. And hold on, let me back. So what was we saying again?
There's going to be who the kings are. We don't know who's in charge. We don't know where they are. They're not going to be anywhere near the trouble. That's for fucking sure. There's going to be somewhere else. Oops. Oh, well.
I forget where I was going with that. But
do they really care? Do the people in charge of the world care if America's crime rate goes up 1,000%? Would they lose sleep at night?
I actually think they do partially. Because think about it. So I'm with Andrew Schultz, and I'm taking your position with him.
Shout out to Andrew Schultz.
Is good guy. And he says, part of me that gives me comfort is knowing these guys are so obsessed with their money. He may be wrong. So we can debate this. Yep. They're so obsessed with their money that there's no way they're going to let America fall. Because if America falls, everything else falls. So they're going to go just as much as they can to control, but not enough to get the machine to break because they're so in love with money and power, they don't want to give that up.
Well, I hope that's true. I would love for that to be true. But my argument is that these people are already so deeply entrenched, they print the money. Go print the new money. They don't care. If they cared about money, COVID wouldn't have happened. They closed the entire economy. I don't think they care about money. I think they control the world to a level where you want to eat? Do you want water? Like, I don't think they give a shit about money.
Oh, that's what I was going to say before. That's okay. I got it. So I was talking about how missed opportunities. I was talking about how Peter Boghossian was here, and I could have had him up here. And, you know, I mean, he did share the video on his Twitter. I haven't even taken a look at what the numbers are like. It's you know, it's doing pretty well, I think. You know, a couple hundred views. But the BBC had such a missed opportunity. Imagine them hosting this conversation. Imagine them being on the side of Andrew Tate and, you know, appearing to be like they're pushing back, but being the platform that allows Andrew Tate to be Andrew Tate without having to, you know, capitulate anything. You know, you can talk about the charges. You can talk about all the controversial stuff. But how much did you like forget that, like, oh, Andrew Tate does kind of go in like that? I forgot. And the BBC could have been the ones to remind us, but they dropped the ball, just like I did with Peter Boghossian.
They'll print the new money. They'll change the name of it and print the new one. At a certain level of power, I think they're so above and beyond all of our concepts of how the world works that they don't have any interest in any of it. I don't think they give a shit. I think if you were to go to these people, whoever they are, and say, we're going to take your money away, they would just laugh at you. You think you can take my money? You think you understand money? You think you're going to damage the stock market? You think I give a shit about the share price?
That's always a scary phrase. When somebody talks about, you think you understand money? You think you understand the economy? When somebody who, like, definitely is a little bit leveled up from where you are, and they say something like that, it's like, uh-oh, what did I get myself into?
I think there's a level beyond all of this. And they're the ones who truly are running things, and they truly have no influence. And in fact, the harder they damage the economy and the more damage they do to money, the more people are dependent on governments to eat. That's where communism comes from, right?
Yep.
The more poor we get, the more you need the government just so you have food in your mouth. How can you resist the government if they feed you? You can't. So yeah, like, and I sound pessimistic, and I'm not pessimistic. And I do believe the answer to all of these things is free thinking and truth and God and community standing up for themselves. And
obviously, I'm going to leave God out of that. But as much as he is sounding pessimistic, like I keep saying, I can hear the white pill in his voice. In order to understand how to come back from the brink, you have to understand that we are at the brink and what it means to be at the brink and what it takes to get back. And so all he's really doing is kind of identifying the first two pieces and hopefully can give us some wisdom on the third piece.
Changing the general consensus. I do believe that. Because to a degree, although we talk about people who run the world, to a degree we run the world. Because our tolerance level is what runs the world. There's more of us than them. So
I literally just said that. I'm telling you guys. I'm telling you. You guys are in the right place.
To a degree, you say, who's in charge of the world? Well, I like to say, well, we are. Because it's all about, we're the abused wife in this relationship. How much crap are we going to put up with? We set the limit. They're going to come at us with everything they can, right? We set the limit. But the problem is they try very, very hard to, one, increase our limit to the max, which is tolerance, and two, to divide us to the point where we don't ever unite long enough. I love what happened in Glendale, what you just told me about. That should be happening in every single school across America, all of them.
Oh, they would love it if you retweet the video for them and give more exposure.
Do it.
You know, when you're saying this, I'm reading a book right now, Robert Moses. I don't know if you know who he is or not, Power Broker. This is a guy, it would be a very interesting guy for you to study. This is the guy that built New York, okay? And he came up and hated, complicated person, misunderstood. The more they would push him back, the more he stood up. Yeah. The more they would say, no, this is not fair what you're doing, the more he would even say, I'm going to go even more extreme. And so if in New York you mention the name Robert Moses, there's going to be a camp that's going to say scumbag, racist, white supremacist, all this stuff. Hurrah! And there's a side that's going to say, this guy built a bridge, this guy did this, this guy did that. He would make it so hard for a certain community to go to the nicer community. He would put the bridge so low that trucks couldn't go through because he didn't want the bad people to go into this. Like he was that sharp. And one time in the book, they talk about how Robert Moses, he says, look, the one thing about Robert Moses, he could give a shit about money. He could give a shit about, it was all about his influence over. So I agree. There's certain people that don't care about money. They're more driven by control, influence, all of that.
But money is a predecessor to that. You don't get to care about money and control before you have the money. Or excuse me, you don't get to worry about power and control before you have the money.
The part that we're talking about the movie Fury, Vinny, and you give me this whole thing about Fury, the scene where Shia LaBeouf is reading out of the Bible and he's crying while he's reading this. And then, right, if you want to text me and then afterwards, you see Brad Pitt quotes exactly what scripture it was, but they never showed how much faith he had. And the whole point was, I'm ready to die. We know we're here. This is going to be happening. We're in the attack. I think the people, there's a part about Trump. I had a girl on Whitney Webb. I don't know if you know who Whitney Webb is. We had her on. Okay. Yeah. And we start talking about different things. And I've been.
Do we know Whitney Webb? Whitney Webb. Who's Whitney Webb? Whitney Webb. No. I don't know. Professional writer, journalist. Okay.
I have a lot of weird guests on lately. And making a comparison between the Kennedy family and Trump pisses a lot of people off. But those two families, forget the fact that one's a Democrat, one's a Republican. They were both anti-establishment.
Fury, Isaiah 6:8. And then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send and whom will go for us? And I said, here I am, send me. I love it. But again, I cannot. It's like a compulsion within me. Why do you need the Lord to ask you before you are ready to send yourself? If you're going to send yourself into something that could kill you. All right, we're not talking about that, but Jesus Christ. I can't. I tried, guys. I continue to try. But religion is dumb.
They were both anti-military industrial complex. They were both anti-CIA, anti-FBI, anti all of this stuff, right? We saw what happened with Kennedy. We saw what happened with Reagan. We saw what happened with Lincoln. All these guys were anti-establishment guys. We saw what happened with Trump. The part about Trump that, made the other side uncomfortable is, okay, we can kill the guy. That's been the strategy for a long time. You can't really do it today as much because they fear one thing that they're the most jealous and envy. You know what that is? They do not want to build a martyr. They fear building a martyr because that's the ultimate high that they want to get. They do not want to build a martyr, right?
That's brilliant. Because that's right. It's not that. I mean, I don't necessarily know if they anticipated the martyrdom that would come with JFK. And I mean, we're just assuming. We're assuming that the CIA or the FBI or some intelligence agency was behind that. But today, it's more about understanding the dynamics around that. Not that we can't kill him. We can't kill him because his ideas then become that much more important. Crazy.
So, okay, we're going to humiliate the crap out of you. We're going to embarrass the crap out of you. We're going to publicly try to do this. We're going to come in between you and your kids. We're going to go get your daughter to be more LGBT. We're going to get her to be on this side. And we're going to pin this. That's the strategy. We're going to put break the entire family apart, right? And he still stands up there. And to them, it's like, what the hell do we need to do for you to, just sit down and be quiet, not willing to do it?
That's right.
And the fact is that in America, there is nothing. There is nothing you can do as long as somebody is willing to stand up and continue to speak their mind, continue to defend their positions. There is nothing you can do. You can try all the things that he just said, all of the things that they've done to Trump in the last ever since 2015. But there is nothing you can do to stop him. Who was the last big martyr? Well, unfortunately, George Floyd, but that's precisely the point. is that he became a martyr for the cause of cops being bad and white supremacy taking over America. And a lot of liberals still believe that. I think, I believe, what percentage of liberals, come on, think white supremacy is the biggest problem in America? Let's see what we got. Well, okay, from PBS, nearly half Americans don't believe. Oh, okay, we're not. What we got? Let's see, Democrats. Greatest threat. Democrats say white nationalism. New survey data shows a partisan divide on what Americans believe is the greatest threat to the United States. Democrats rank violent white nationalist groups as the highest, while Republicans list China as the greatest threat. We got a nice little chat here. And yeah, so all of this is based on well, I don't actually know what I'm looking at, but the idea behind white supremacy being the biggest threat, the greatest threat to America, comes from George Floyd. You would not have heard that before George Floyd. But yeah, so they have, okay, overall, Republicans red, Democrats blue, and independent. So we have the violent white nationalist groups in America. The Republicans say 3%. Even independents say 35%. But 47, is it percent? 47%. That's essentially half. And of course, we come down to China, and we got 45% of Republicans here. Where do the Democrats say only 10% of Democrats? So let's rank this. So they think China is as much of a threat as Al Qaeda, and that militant far-right extremist groups and white nationalists. Jesus Christ. Dodge those rebel flags might get what? Rebel flags? What are you talking about? Oh, yeah, right. Let's get rid of that. But yeah, I mean that he was the last big martyr, and as we can see, years later, there's still in effect. And 46 says right wing extremists, and people just believe it. So let's see, where are we?
What the hell do we need to do for you to, just sit down and be quiet, not willing to
Shut up!
Do you think, again, going back to it, more of those types of men and women who are misunderstood and complicated stories, they're not perfect, far from it. Yeah. More of those guys are the ones that are saying, yeah, it's just not going to happen on my watch, man.
And that's what we need. And by the very nature of being the kind of person who's principled enough to risk his own personal situation in life, if you have principles that strong, you're going to be disliked by some people. You're never going to have a person who is principled enough to take risk to his public detriment for the good of what he believes in, who's liked by everybody. That's a logic fail, right? Because he has principles which are hard.
Listen to that one more time. That was a bar.
You're never going to have a person who is principled enough to take risk to his public detriment for the good of what he believes in, who's liked by everybody. That's a logic fail, right?
Those people don't exist. Somebody who is going to be willing to take a hit for their public persona, but also care enough about themselves to be it's having your cake and eating it too.
Because he has principles which are hard lines, and people exist across the entire spectrum. So there's going to be people who exist outside of those lines. That's what I liked about Trump. He's not perfect, of course not, but he says what he means what he says. I actually disagree with him on many things, but he says what he means. He means what he says. And that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of a man who says what he means and means what he says, but he can't be bought because he's bingo. He can't be bought. Even now, if they were to come to me with $100 million and say, we'll sponsor you with this company's $100 million, you just have to shut up, I'd say, no, I don't want your money. I don't want the money. I don't need money.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. I would take that shit. I would become, the most liberal, whatever, for $100 million. Come on, you wouldn't do that for $100 million? $100 million.
Nothing else to buy. I bought everything. I don't need it. My principle's worth more. So, and that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of principles, and it goes back to the original point. They're trying to remove all of our morality, all of our baseline understanding of things.
Connect is an application which allows you to take a minute to connect with influencers from all around the world. My name is Andrew Tate.
So you guys can see we got a bunch here. We got a bunch of these here. I don't know how long we're gonna go, and we might switch to the after show stage channel. I'm gonna see how everything's going. What are the numbers like? And so if you are enjoying this, make sure you do whatever you feel is going to help the show continue.
In business, I asked this question the other day. I'm so curious to get your thoughts on this. For the longest time, when I got into business, I was, a younger guy, 21. I'm like, okay, very coachable. Tell me, what do I got to do? I'm a coachable guy. What do I got to do? I'm a coachable guy, super coachable. I want to make money. I'm sick of time of being broke. My dad's at the 99 cents store. Too many heart attacks. I want to get out of this. Yep. So I'm like, hey, Patrick, basic stuff. When you're doing business and you're talking to rich people at Morgan Stanley, Dean Witter, never talk religion, never talk politics, never talk sex. Just don't talk about those three things. I said, okay, guess what? Never talk politics. Never talk religion, never talk sex. No problem. We're going to business. So what do you think about the political climate today, Patrick, David? Oh, what do you think? Yeah. Well, I think this is, but what do you think, Patrick? I don't know, quite frankly, I think I'm trying to figure it out for myself right now, but we'll see what's going to happen. Like, whatever way you're deflecting and you kind of go and you vote. Hey, what do you think about God? What is your opinion on Islam or Muslim? Yeah. Well, for me, you deflect that. Eventually you're sitting there, you're like, the people that I know at that level want to talk about those three topics. Yep. Now, sex is maybe off camera and they're kind of having fun with it, but they want to talk about politics and religion. Giggity. So we, for the longest time, have been silenced, and now the ESG community, all this time they've told us to stay quiet, and they're saying what? They're talking politics, they're talking religion, and they're talking sex. Sex the way through LGBTQ. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with it? It's normal. It's normal. It's normal. No.
Is it though?
No, it's not normal. Well, listen, you guys shouldn't talk about politics and sex and religion.
Who are these assholes? Did anybody notice them before? I didn't notice them. But you can see from this shot, this is where they had the BBC interview. So he would be sitting like this way, facing that way, and she was over here facing towards where the camera is.
Religion shouldn't be doing that. Yeah. And then you see this one, during COVID, one pastor, Australia, Syrian man. I don't know what his name is, Vinny. What's his name? The Syrian pastor, priest from Australia. And he was fighting all the anti-COVID guidelines, and his stuff is going viral. He's doing this. And you've seen these messages. Some of the people that stood up, they stood up because they feared God. Yeah. Okay. And for you, with your life, it's been interesting watching you go through your evolution of your faith. Yeah. Pre-2022, former atheist, couple of the things you've said in the past, God isn't real because you can't prove it. Yep. Okay.
I really, really, really want you guys to answer this poll. I really, really, really want you guys to answer this poll. I'm going to put one up about his religion, and just let me know.
Kind of like that was more the Malcolm X argument, right? Yep. Bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people far too often for God to exist. Yep. I'm the center of my universe. That's pre-2020. Yep. Then gradually you start talking about Christianity, and in 2020 made a video announcing that you were wrong about what you had said previously about God, right? Yep. Now you start saying people who are atheists are angry, bad energy people, and I don't want to be on that team anymore. And even if God is not real, the world is a better place if people do believe in God. I know God is real because there's so much evil in the world that there has to be an equal and opposite force. The devil can't exist if God does not. And if you look at the world today, it is very obvious that the devil does not exist. And I'll go to the last one here with Muslim. Quotes from you. Christians don't have a religion anymore because they tolerate everything and stand for nothing. Bingo! And by the way, I actually agree with you, the fact that they're tolerating way too much. Islam is the last religion on the planet.
True.
God is something to be feared, respected, and to prove yourself to, which means you got to earn his right. Yeah. It's hey, I want to earn your right and your respect, right?
And again, I will come back always to this question. Okay, if that is the case, how can I verify that that is true?
how did you go, if you don't mind talking about your own evolution? Because us as
please.
men,
Please.
if you knew me at 25 years old, you probably would have liked that party with me. I was a selfish guy. I was a guy you would have thought I was, right? And we go through this phase of where the selfishness kind of comes down a little bit. You still need to be selfish because you need to be driven, but to the point where you're like, listen, man, I got to really do something. And then somehow, some way, God enters.
So Mike says, I think he's going to Islam because it's a trump card as the #1 victim to cancel the establishment. Yep. Islamophobia. Yep. They've created this apparatus, and being trans or Muslim is the only way that you are free from any kind of critique on your lifestyle. Those are the two ways. You can be a Muslim or you can be a trans. And anything you do is perfectly fine with everyone in America. Changed my mind.
What's been your evolution of your faith, and where are you at today?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't believe and I don't believe, but then I got arrested and a lot of people got really mad at me. So
I think it's third law, equal and opposite force. What you just said there is absolutely true. There has to be equal and opposite force to all the evil in the world.
In a closed environment, in a closed environment, we don't know that the universe is a closed environment. Don't quote physics if you don't understand physics.
And that the equal and opposite force to all that evil has to be God. And I've talked about this.
Does it though? Why does it have to be God? Why couldn't it be anything else? Why couldn't it be a computer? Why couldn't it be aliens?
At length, even with atheists, and I try and say that regardless of whether you're an atheist or not, you're thinking of God as a man in the sky, but you need to think of God as a concept as a whole. And once you do that, it's impossible to accept that he doesn't exist, right?
Okay, but then we're talking about something different. I agree with you. If we are not talking about a man in the sky, if we are not talking about God as described in the Bible, then yes, I do believe that there is something bigger. But that's not what that word means. So stop using it. Stop calling it God, because it's not God. God is a man in the sky. If you read the Bible, that's what it says. That he is a man, that he is that his consciousness, he has a human consciousness. That's what it says. So don't get mad at me because the divinely inspired Bible got it wrong. Nick says, I feel the same as Andrew Tate because I like that Trump was willing to be the bad guy and not care what the loud few were yelling, but carried what the everyman thought instead. Exactly. I mean, that's his whole platform, right? Mike says, that's still intelligent design if a computer made this. Exactly, but that doesn't break the laws of physics if a computer made this. It does break the laws of physics if a man just snapped his fingers and the universe started. I'm fine with intelligent design as long as it doesn't break the laws of physics, but in religious intelligent design does.
Right? I said to the atheist, I said, let's say there was 2 islands. You're shipwrecked, right? And there's 2 islands. Both of them are full of savages. On one island, you and your friend are shipwrecked. On one island, your friend goes
exactly,
and
Monty.
He crashes. And
this is how everybody thinks of it.
They kill him and they eat him. And you go to another island, and they want to kill you and eat you, but they don't because it's against their religion. Mm-hmm. Did God save your life? Who cares? Who doesn't even know the name of their God? But their God said, don't kill shipwrecked survivors. And now you're alive. So their God saved your life. The concept of God in and of itself saved your life.
I would argue their morality saved my life. They didn't need God in order to come to the conclusion that if somebody shipwrecks on your island, you shouldn't kill them. You have left out the part where God was needed. God may have been the instrument by which these people came to that moral conclusion. But you still have not said the part where it needs to be God. Because guess what? If I had an island and you shipwrecked on my island, do you think I would kill you? Checkmate, atheist. Melty said, serve the public trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law. What are you talking about? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's that's what it is. It's like you want to say that like, oh, a man in the sky, that's silly. Yeah, we know. That's what atheists have been saying for a century. Longer than that. But you want to have this perverted idea of God, and it is a perverted idea, to explain the natural universe, and you're sticking words where they don't belong and acting like you have information that you can't possibly have. Mike says that goes back to the archetypal stories. If you look at God, as of an archetype, it's a different perspective. It all points to Brahman. I mean, fair enough, but the dots simply have not been connected. And it's not like I'm not familiar with different interpretations of religion in general, different interpretations of Christianity, different interpretations of the Bible. And it just doesn't jive. More RoboCop action here. All right. Thank you.
Oh God, just for the concept of it, the idea of it. So even the idea of opposing evil as a whole is a belief in God. So you're either an evil person or you believe in God in some regard.
That is a false dichotomy. You're either an evil person or you believe in God in some regard. That's not how that works.
And then once I understood that there had to be an equal and opposite force, I was raised.
But it doesn't have to be God. It doesn't have to be conscious.
Christian. I live in a Christian nation. Romania is actually, I think, the second or third most Christian country on earth. It's a very Christian country here. It's churches everywhere. They strongly believe. And that's where I began my journey. But I always had a very healthy respect for Islam because I understand that to a degree, to have a religion at all, you have to have an intolerance to a degree. Because without an intolerance, you don't have rules. You don't have laws. You don't have any, like you said, you have to earn God's respect. If you're a religion which is tolerant of everything, then you don't have to earn God's respect. You can be.
I mean, spot on. Everything he's saying is spot on. And all this tolerance, much of it, I think, is good. But there's a lot of tolerance that is not in the Bible, that is in the churches. Unhave your cake and eat it too. Well, this part is just a metaphor. And that part, well, we don't really pay attention to that part anymore. I thought this was a divinely inspired book. Muslims don't do that. Muslims say, okay, what does it say? Okay, it says gay people must be stoned to death. You're gay? All right, we're throwing you off a building. Do you believe or do you not believe?
Be a bad person and do bad things. God loves me, so it's fine. Well, no, it's not, because that's not the point of the religion. So then you extrapolate that out, and I'll sit in and thinking, well, what's the primary function of a religion? And the primary function of a religion, I don't believe, is
morality.
Religion exists so I can live forever. I mean, that's a nice thought. But I think on a macro level, the primary objective of a religion is to restore and contain some degree of traditional value within the society. How do you judge? Let me change the way I worded that. How do you judge the success of a religion? I don't think you can judge it by the number of people who join it, because there's lots of people who are Catholic who don't act Catholic.
Yep.
They don't act in any way particularly Christian. Anyone can say they're something. You can walk into a strip club and everyone says they're Christian. It doesn't mean anything, right?
Mike says the distinction between someone who understands the universe is that distinction between someone who understands the universe and what? Is that they know that they don't. Tate has beliefs. Alan Watts didn't have a religion. He was independent without the label. All right, fair enough. I'm not sure I know exactly what you're getting at, but shout out to Alan Watts.
So how do you judge the success of a religion? Well, I like to think the best way to judge the success of a religion is how successful is it at fighting evil? How successful is it at preserving the morality of the population in X parameter?
That's a great metric. That's a great metric. How good is it at creating and maintaining morality? Well, we've had entire holy wars, so kind of knocks that out of the park in terms of morality and peace, right? I mean, we don't need I mean, all right, I'm not going to go over and over and over again, but you guys get it. Nick says, thank you. People believe they don't know what comes after death. God doesn't interfere in our lives. Anyone else can see. So why should I think he will right after I die? Good question. And doesn't mean that he can't. It doesn't mean that there is no he. It doesn't mean that any of that stuff. It just means that I don't know, and nobody I've ever spoken to or listened to has ever been able to explain it.
An X geographical area. So when you look at it from that way, you can't say that Islam isn't the most successful religion on earth. It's the most successful in regards to opposing evil. It's the most successful in regards to opposing its differing viewpoints. It's the most successful in regards to having people act within the limits and the confines of what it finds to be moral and good to God.
Sure, but what if religion itself is not the best answer to the question of morality? What if Islam is, in fact, the best religion, but the best answer to morality is not religion? Didn't think about that, did ya?
It's the most adhered to. It's the most feared. It's the most respected in most forms. And then also I'd like to think...
I would say it's the most feared.
Yeah, it's the most feared. But what is respect without fear? Do we respect men we don't fear?
What is respect without fear? I would say that is love. He's trying to phrase that as a bad thing. Respect without fear is love. That's a way better form of respect than respect by means of fear. Am I crazy here? Like, would you not rather have people respect you because of any other reason than because they're afraid of you? Would you not want people to respect you because of who you are? Even what you can do for them? Over just, oh, well, I'm scared. Even when you're trying to proselytize, even when you're trying to speak about how important religion is, what you're saying doesn't make sense. But you're too stuck in dogma to listen to your own words.
But there's a man who could do absolutely nothing to you on any level at all. You might be nice to him, sure, because we're not bad people. But would you really respect him? If you could take his chick in front of his face, set his car on fire, and he wouldn't do a thing. You wouldn't respect him. You might be nice to him because we're not bullies.
But that's where the red pill thinking is. Like, oh, you could take my girl. Well, like, hold on. What does that have to do with respect? I'm a single dude and you're a single dude. We can still have respect, and I don't have to fear you. That's a weird. I mean, I'm not saying that fear doesn't beget respect. I just completely disagree with that's the best way.
We wouldn't respect.
Or the strongest way.
Respect and fear are linked. They're not always the same thing, and you can maybe have fear without respect, but it's very hard to have respect without fear. And also, I heard someone say once that we see the world as we see ourselves. If you're a thief, you think everyone's a thief. If you're a liar, you think everyone's a liar. And I kind of agree with that. I understood that. I also like to think we see religion as we see ourselves. I like to see myself as a person whose respect you have to earn. I like to see myself as a person who has strong, rigid boundaries. I like to see myself as a person who will stand up and say, no, that's wrong. I like to see myself as a person who's not afraid of being shamed by whatever community for saying, I don't agree with that particular ideal. I like seeing myself that way. So if I'm going to see myself that way, then I'm going to naturally align with a religion that operates within that form.
All right, so you guys are thinking he's serious about Islam. I lean towards that he is, but I'm gonna have to see a little bit more.
So when I say Islam is the last religion on earth, I say it because it seems to be the only one who will stand up and say, no, we don't care. No, that's not what the book says. No. I was raised Christian, and Muslims as a whole, we have no problems with Christians. None at all. I don't want anyone to think I'm anti-Christian, like I dislike Christians. We don't have a problem with Christians. We believe in a lot of the same things. We believe in Jesus. We put more respect on the name of Jesus than most Christians. I just don't like the idea of people saying they're a Christian and saying, but because I'm a Christian, I can do whatever I want and throw all the rules away and none of it matters. Because once you have that level of tolerance, you no longer have a religion. Bingo! This seems to be the last religion left with parameters. If you don't have parameters, you don't have a religion at all. So the closer I found myself to God, the closer I found myself to Islam. That's just how it ended.
And Andrew, speaking of fear, one could argue that Islam these days, certainly in the last 20 years with the war on terror, they've also been the most vilified.
Absolutely.
Right? So, you know, everything that we've seen happen with extremism and everything that's going on all over the world, how are you grappling with that? You've been a Christian for years now. Islam,
everything. And you know what's...
See, this is interesting on how you would expect if this was, they're not PBD and Valuetainment, they're not journalists, so I'm not holding them to the same degree that I would the BBC. But in the one way where BBC came out in a complete wrong way, we're not really getting a lot of pushback here. The obvious question is, well, isn't it convenient for you to be, running all these cam girl sites and having all the money in the cars and all that? Isn't it convenient that now that you're in trouble, you're super religious? I don't think that's that hard of a question. And I think it's a little, I don't know. I don't know if you guys agree, but it kind of rubs me the wrong way that they're just accepting it on face value. Melty says, have you seen Bronx Tale? Great movie showing respect through fear and respect through love. I saw it a long time ago. I don't really remember. It was Heath Ledger, right? Maybe I got to rewatch that one. But yeah, I don't think respect through fear is necessarily the best way to go. But is that what the movie says, or which one's better? Respect through fear or respect through love?
You know what? That's such an interesting question, because when I was younger, especially when I was an atheist, I would sit and think, people are really doing terror attacks and doing all this crazy stuff because they're upset over a cartoon. That's so stupid, and nobody should kill. Nobody should kill anybody.
Charlie Hebdo, everything.
Yeah, nobody should kill anybody. Nobody should kill anybody. I'll make that very clear. But also, part of me is now saying, why would you want to insult the prophet for billions? Why would you want to?
See, this is some beta bullshit. This is some beta bullshit. What are you talking about? Well, why would you want to hurt somebody's feelings? I'm sorry. Andrew Tate cares about feelings now? That's what I thought. Does that not strike you as, like, not on brand? Well, why are you making fun of those people? That's not really your thing. But in the realm of Islam, then, it's completely different. Nick says, if God let me know, whatever God would be, I would happily believe. But I just don't see God filling the gaps. But being a wrench in the monkey works. But that is my feeling. Yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree, brother.
I don't want to make the argument against free speech. I'm not even saying you couldn't be allowed to. This is a sensitive subject. I'm just saying, what kind of person wakes up and thinks, I want to do that?
The kind of person who is trying to make a point, similarly to how so many people hated you for so long, but you did certain things to make a point and to get yourself out there. That's who.
I don't know. I just don't think that's a healthy mindset. Like when I see these Satanists, and they're, especially in America, and they're doing, let's keep it on Christianity, these Satanists, and they're dressing
now
up.
He's going to get all pearl clutchy. The cam girl guy is going to get all pearl clutchy. Please.
Jesus is gay and all this stuff. Like, that's not done in any kind of good faith.
Of course
There's
it's
no
not.
good reason to do that. That's done with genuinely malicious intention.
Of course it is. And I've never done that. I'm not some loser who cares enough about that to try to, say Jesus is gay to annoy people or draw Muhammad because I know it's going to piss people off. But that's besides the point. That's besides the point. Especially here in America. In America, you can say or draw whatever the fuck you want. Period. Full stop. End of story. Well, why are you doing that? Okay, so what about if you're going online talking about how fat women are, or how many dudes women are with? Is that done not genuinely with malicious intent? Come on, bro. Come on.
And what kind of people want to do that? And then the answer by extension is, I thought America was a Christian country. So how can you have a Christian country where the prophets of the religion are mocked to the highest possible levels within the confines of the country, and it's promoted?
Dude, you literally just explained exactly the answer to that question. You are saying you are attracted to Islam because of how weak Christianity is and how far people can stray from the actual book. And then you ask, how can people be straying far from the actual book? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Is that a Christian country? Doesn't seem like a Christian country to me. I don't think the same thing would happen with Islam in Saudi Arabia. I can't imagine that happening. So how?
Okay, but would you rather live in a Christian America or in a Muslim Saudi Arabia?
Haram! You say we're a Christian country, but everyone's mocking our God on the streets. Ha ha ha.
Because it's funny. Because your shit's stupid.
It's on Netflix. Ha ha ha. That's not a Christian country to me. So if you're not a Christian country, then where's the religion? Where the religion's supposed to enforce certain boundaries. You're supposed to at least show it respect, you know? And it's also kind of interesting because in Christian countries, there's more respect for Islam than there is for Christianity. In a Christian country, name one. They still don't do it with the Islamic Prophet.
Why do you think that is?
It's too much smoke. It's just not worth the heat. Because people believe. And I'm not advocating for violence on any level. I'm saying that
You kind of are, though.
even these degenerates who are trying to destroy people's belief in God, like we've discussed earlier, because they don't want you to have any baseline morality. If you believe in God, there are commandments, yes and no. That baseline morality prevents you being an absolute slave. So they're trying to destroy it. But even those degenerates who are trying to mock and disgrace God, understand there's a point where it just backfires and, ooh, this is smoke. And they don't want the smoke. And shouldn't God be feared? I'm scared of God. It's the only thing I fear.
This is such
I fear
cope.
God.
This is so weak. Think about the wisdom. We were like, oh, wow. When he was talking about anything else. And then we get into this realm and you're just blathering. What are you even talking about?
They can put me in jail. I know I'm telling the truth. God's on my side. I fear God. So God should be feared. So once again, does anybody fear the Christian God? I haven't seen anybody scared of him in a long time. And it's kind of crazy because it's very interesting. The mass migration and all these things are leftist policies, but then also Islam is the most right-wing religion on earth. It's kind of very interesting. I grew up in England, and I grew up in Luton,
That's
which
the
is a
horseshoe
town which is
effect.
mainly Muslims. Like this, it's a huge Islamic community. And there was a bunch of English people who were complaining about there's too much immigration, we're losing our culture. And I understood their point absolutely. But these are the same people complaining about all the left-wing LGBT in schools and all these issues. And I was like, the only allies you have against this are the Muslims. They're the only allies you have in any of this. The Christians don't protest against any of this stuff. The Christians don't. There's very few Christians who will get up off their ass and complain. In fact, I saw on Twitter yesterday, one of the churches was lit up in rainbow. I have nothing against gay people. I don't care. And that's actually another point I want to make into about this thing. I think most people don't care, and I think that bothers them. Have you ever had an argument with a girl, and she's like stropping around the house, she's huffing and puffing, and you just don't give a shit? So she has to keep upping the ante to eventually go, what's the problem? Because she tried the low-level stuff, and you didn't care.
She's like, yeah, I'm just watching TV. She's on her phone. Harumph. Yep. Oh, they will wind it
I
up.
kind of feel like this has a remnants of that. I'm gay. Cool. I want to get married. Fine. I want to wave my dick in your kid's face. Whoa, 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 whoa. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. I feel like they tried to annoy us, and we're like, we don't give a shit. Do whatever you want.
Analogy.
Be a person. We don't care.
Point.
And now they're like, okay, well, we have to get to a limit where they have to react.
Yeah.
We want attention now. We want them to care about
What's
this.
the right move on that?
Well, that's the point. You know, it's difficult because there comes a point where you simply have to address it, and now you have to oppose it. And this is sorry to interrupt you, but this is why they're so careful and so clever with what they do. They package it all together. LGBTQ. I would argue. I don't know what Q is. Firstly, sorry, I don't know what Q. Questioning Q. All right. I would argue that G and T are very different things.
Beyond.
A gay man and someone who's chopped the dick off are very different things.
Adam himself, the co-host here, has talked about this in reference to the Dave Chappelle bit. Like, this is very weird to me that he's presenting this as if it's a unique idea.
So they package it all together. So now, because the spectrum of your enemy is so large, you have people who are fully this way. You have people who we accept and are normal in society. We have no problem with gay people. And they put it all together. You're an enemy of all these people. And they complicate the argument and they mix it all together. And now you're a bigot.
And really, you just want your kids to be left alone. Really, you just want to leave the children alone.
Of course.
All you want to do is leave your kids alone.
And this is the argument that I was trying to have, not the argument, but the conversation I was trying to have with St. Michael, that what you're doing is you're setting your sights too wide. And if you're saying all of these people are bad, then that's not a position. But if you're saying this specific thing is bad, then let's attack that. Let's find a solution to that. But of course, we didn't get there.
And then it's like, okay.
So it looks like we're winding down in viewership and everything else. So I think this is going to be the last clip that we're going to do. If you would like to keep the show going, then a super chat or bring in some new people in, either way, would definitely go far.
I'm now raising children. I have more children than most people would believe. How do I protect my children from this insanity? God. Which God can protect my children? Allah, Islam. I'll move them to Dubai or Saudi Arabia, and none of this will happen. Can I trust a Christian nation?
Well, that works if you have sons, but if you have daughters, that's not a good plan.
Some of them. Romania is a Christian nation, and to a large degree, they oppose quite a lot of this stuff. But they're also NATO, and they're also EU, and they also rely on bailouts and grants and money. And on a long enough time frame, even in the 7 years I've lived here, I have watched certain attitudes change because money buys influence and power.
So Andrew, not to cut you off, how much of you converting from Christianity to Islam is actually the belief in God versus the societal pressures that are facing children?
There we go. There we go. At least that is there. That is what I was talking about. And shout out to Adam. I don't know his last name, but shout out because we needed some pushback.
It seems like it's a little bit of both.
For you to believe in God, you have to respect him. How can I believe and put my life in the hands of someone I don't respect? And I'm going to respect a God which is feared.
Yeah, but it's a vertical relationship, right? It's not a horizontal. If you base...
Hey, we got Arturo Reacts in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. Said I've seen way too many priests and pastor stories about child abuse that I just can't even take religion seriously.
Bingo!
That's a whole other aspect of how, just like how the LGBT thing creates a cover for predators, so does the church. That is what dogmatic thinking does. It creates protection for predators. Welcome to the party, Arturo. Amazing way to tie that in. Thank you very much.
If you base it horizontally, they're going to disappoint you. If you think about, if you're going to believe, let's go believe Prophet Muhammad, his teaching, and let's go believe the Bible, NIV, and Jesus, Father, for God so loved the world that he gave us, you gave your son for me. Let's say that's true.
Well, you didn't actually, because, he was born of a virgin and then you brought him back, but.
And you're doing it based on faith? Who would do such a thing for me? What a level of sacrifice for you to do that. Who am I for you to be so worried about me? If you look at...
And there's that Catholic shame. Nick says, why did the religious people get so upset about being mocked if they believe? Because they constantly mock those who don't believe. Free speech, bitch. I'm not trying to make anyone hate me, but that's a good point. If you're so strong in your beliefs, then the fact that other people don't believe should be, it should be like the way that we look at flat earthers. Like, it shouldn't offend you that people think the earth is flat because you know that it's not. If somebody's going, oh, you're a round earther, ha, 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 ha. Like, is that really going to hurt your feelings? Why? Mike says there are institutions and they can be corrupted just like government. Exactly. And that is why we need to always maintain our skepticism. And skepticism and dogma are incompatible. Always stay skeptical.
Look at it from that angle. It's not necessarily coming from a place of fear. It's coming from a place of grace. It's coming from a place of love. It's coming from a place of,
absolutely,
a different feel. Because I do believe the part that upsets me is the fear aspect, that they're allowing others to mock your God, to mock Jesus, to mock whatever religion it is you're a part of, and you're kind of like, oh, they're just funny, man. No, it's not funny. You just crossed the line. Like, JC has that one line where he says, "Don't tell me why what the guy said about me. Tell me why he was so comfortable saying it to you."
100%.
Tell me why he said comfortable to you. So I think that's the part about faith. I understand when you're saying the fear on the respect side. So that's the part where fear is needed. I totally agree.
Yeah.
But the part where you were making a point about LGBTQ, you're like, I don't even know what Q stands for, is questioning. And then you're like, well, gay, okay, cool. Trans, listen, man, spectrum. And he said if we were to say which religion's the far right, it's going to be Muslim. Totally get it. They're on the far right. Christian today is kind of going center left today. Like they're kind of being soft right now. Okay. So if I want to raise my kids, I'm going to take my kids to, Dubai, and I'm going to take my kids to Saudi Arabia. Why? Because I'm defending against some of these immoral philosophies that they have. I don't want to go there. I actually understand that argument.
Yeah, and I want to make one more point. I do believe there is one God, and I believe there's many different paths to God.
But when he says God, he doesn't actually mean God. He means something that he can't explain that's bigger than himself. But even though he doesn't know what it is, he's going to call it something that he knows.
I'm not a religious scholar, and I'm not an expert on Islam. I'm doing my best, and I'm reading the Quran as often as I can. And it does say that Christians on the day of reckoning will see how close they were to the truth. And we are allies. We are not enemies in any regard, Christians and Muslims. And I do believe that the idea of Christians and Muslims shaking hands and saying, let's put an end to a lot of this garbage would be fantastic. I'm not anti-Christian in any regard. I just found myself, as I became more and more religious, seeking and looking for a faith which not only I could be proud of, but a faith which was guiding in regards to, I don't know what a Christian would answer to certain questions nowadays. What does a Christian answer to? I'm a transsexual and I want to show your kids my genitals. What's a Christian? Well, a Christian's supposed to say no, do they?
Maybe.
I know what my Muslim friends would say. I don't know. If you're a Christian, I don't know how you're supposed to act. I don't know what you're supposed to adult. I don't
kind of looping now. We get the point.
The true believer. Yeah. But how many are true believers? I don't know. I see all over Twitter, all these churches are losing their minds. It seems very complicated. Islam seems very, very simple. You know what?
Mike says, honestly, you understanding that is important. There is something there. Just don't need religion to look inside yourself. Beliefs are followers. Beliefs are followers? He's a follower. I don't know what that last part means, but I definitely shout out to the verse part. Young said, don't be a Christian, be Christ. That's wisdom right there. That is wisdom right there. Oh, believers are followers. Okay. So believers are followers. He's a follower. Don't be a Christian, be Christ. And on that note, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I think I'm going to do another short video for today before I head over to the video chat. So if you would like to hang out, I will see you over there shortly. I want to thank you so much, the Camcast, for becoming a member of the channel. Shout out to Melted Mind Media, and of course, the sponsor of the stream, Unwanted Foe. Thank you so much. And of course, you guys in the chat. It is always a pleasure to hang out with you guys. I was laying in bed. I was gonna, just hang out, but I was like, I miss my people. So I wanted to come and hang out with you guys. So thank you so much. What does Nick say? I'm just trying to be what I consider to be a good man. That's it. I know I fuck up, but I am truly remorseful when I do, and not because of fear or desire for reward. I just want to be a good person. Is that all we can ask from anybody? That is all we can ask from anybody. So thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you guys hanging out. I hope you enjoyed this. If you'd like for me to cover the rest of the podcast, let me know in the comments. We can do more of this stuff. But don't forget, we still have a video that I'm about to do today. Or if I don't, we're still gonna have another videos every single day, and the normal live stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Until then, guys, this is Morty, and I have been your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, we are out of here. Peace.